And so there's been some requests for canned wine. Since we do box wine and we do keg wine, why not canned wine? And so we have it right here, right?
We
You
do.
run it out. There's the 4-pack of the rosé, Wineworks rosé, and this is equal to 1 liter of wine, so more than a bottle of wine in a 4-pack. So it's 250 mLs per can. So it's about 8 ounces of wine. So a nice size
Good
glass.
amount.
Yeah.
Great
So,
for campfires
yeah.
and summer days. So that's exciting. Let's see if we have any more questions. Here we go. Do I have vineyards? About the Pinot Blanc at Shenandoah Vineyards. It's
Pinot Blanc.
It's a Pinot Blanc. It's
We haven't planted it
Do
yet.
we have
No.
Yeah, I didn't think.
That's on
I
the
saw it on the
list.
list.
We're gonna one of the varieties we want to plant
Maybe
at Shen-
Pinot
we,
Gris.
we planted Pinot Gris, Riesling are some of the new varieties at Shenandoah, as well as Lemberger, Petit Verdot, Cab Franc, as we replant that vineyard in Shenandoah, and Pinot Blanc is one of the varieties that we plan to plant there eventually. Yeah.
That's a unique grape
Yep.
for the area. Okay, so someone asked, do young wines change over a few days once they're opened?
Sure. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Oxygen.
Yep, the interaction with the air really helps open up the wine when it's young and not as expressive, and it'll definitely these wines here I actually would say would taste better tomorrow than they do today. They'll really, because they're so young and been less than a year since they were bottled, that with a little more time aerating, they'll be a little bit more open and expressive tomorrow.
All right.
Good questions today.
I know. Thank you.
Yeah.
I see the question, how are you feeling about 2019? Any
2019,
surprises?
2019
coming?
was a great vintage. I still, right now as it stands, think 17 was a better vintage, but 2019 was a real hot, actually riper vintage than 17, but almost too ripe, too hot, and too dry, where the wines are really big, heavy, concentrated wines, really fantastic wines. But I think the 17 has a little more brightness, freshness to the acid levels are a little bit better. But the 2019s are more like 2010, which is a super ripe vintage, more, as we say, more like maybe a hot climate California type vintage, real high alcohol levels, and something we're not too accustomed to, but we'll take it. It was a great vintage.
That'll be really cool.
Yeah, a lot better than 2018. So yeah, it was a good vintage. We'll see how it evolves. It's still early.
Are there any different varietals that you're going to make 2019 or that you couldn't make in the past because of the higher yield?
No, there's no new varietals. I played around with some vinification, some fermentation techniques because of that, and so we did some real nice whole cluster Cabernet Franc, which I don't usually. I mean, I do some in some percentage of, but I did a whole batch that was 100% whole cluster.
What does that mean?
It's just a different style of fermentation, instead of destemming and either destemming and crushing the fruits before the fermentation. These are just basically the whole entire cluster is thrown in a tank, and so it's a very different style, and it produces a different style of fermentation, different style of flavors, everything all along. So that's something we do with Pinot Noir in France quite a bit, and I do in percentages here, but not 100%. So this is something new.
Okay. Would that be higher in tannins?
Not necessarily, no.
Okay. Interesting. Do you think that a Virginia Limburger will be different from a Washington Limburger? Or is it too soon to say?
Too soon to say. I've tasted some, and I've actually had a fantastic Limburger from former clients of mine at Briar Valley in Pennsylvania that made just a fantastic. That was one of the inspirations. Their Limburger that I really enjoyed, and just we'll see how our new planting develops. Next year will be our first crop, and it was an experimental 1 acre lot, but it's a fun wine when it's done right. It's just really, a deep concentrated wine without too much tannin, and it's really has some very great flavor profile that's a little bit different.
And that'll be at Shenandoah Vineyards.
That's at our Shenandoah Vineyards. Our winery there is where it's grown up in Edinburgh.
Okay.
And so I hope people can, when we're back open for visitation, can go up to Shenandoah and visit. It's a lovely setting, absolutely beautiful setting.
Yeah. And so I was wondering, Limburger has another name in German. Blaufränkisch.
Right.
Would you ever change the name to that?
I'm not a big fan of the name Blaufränkisch,
I
though
like
Limburger. Limburger's not that pretty either.
No, people
We'll
think of-
associate the cheese,
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
But I've already kind of committed to Limburger since
Okay.
that seems to be what's marketed here in the U.S.
Right.
more than Blaufränkisch.
Might be confusing.
Yeah. So.
Let's see if we have more. Oh. How are your vineyards in France doing, based on rain and temperature?
There was a little frost risk a couple weeks ago that we really didn't have any problem with, no damage. But it's a real early growing season there.
Mhm.
Right now we're almost 2 weeks ahead of normal.
Oh, wow.
That's really, I mean, my guys are there saying look out for an August harvest, which is kind of, mid to late August, which is, always kind of crazy when that happens.
Yeah.
And so we'll see. We've got a long way to go, but it's been really warm winter, so things are taking off.
And then regarding the Governor's Cup, how do you decide which wines to enter?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
So we have an annual event with the staff at Wineworks, and we just basically take all the wines that meet the requirements in terms of quantities and
Mhm.
vintage. There's certain limits on how far back you can go, and we do an event once a year with our staff. It's fun. We sit and taste all the wines, and everyone comments, and we vote on whether they think it's worthy to enter, whether it's so we eliminate wines that we don't think would show well in a competition or really represent us well. So we go through and then decide on what wines, and then we do a little competition, a little fun event with the staff. Everyone gets to pick one wine, and if it gets in the governor's case, they receive some bottles, and if it wins. If anything ever wins the whole thing, then they'll get a case if they pick the right one. So it's a fun little thing we keep track of every year, and then we have a big lunch and drink all the wines, and
Sounds fun.
it's fun. It's a fun event with the staff.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, let's see if we have any more. We want some people to be hired. They want to be
Oh, they want to be
employees
employees
now.
just for that tasting lunch.
Just for that.
Mhm.
And we have a question about why did you enter the Shenandoah Red Reserve? We did enter
Yeah,
other wines as well.
our Shenandoah Reserve Red won a gold medal as well, and
It's really good.
that was a fun wine. That was we just took over and purchased Shenandoah Vineyards almost 2 years ago, and so it was exciting to start to get those wines out, and so that was a nice surprise that we so soon that we were able to get some gold medals.
All right. And back to frost. What are the steps that you take to mitigate frost?
Well, we don't do as much as other folks. Our site, our main vineyard at Hanalei has nice elevation and slope, so the cold air runs off and gets early morning sun. So we've been really, as I said, we've been real fortunate that we haven't been damaged by the frost. But other folks have wind machines, they do smudge pots with smoke to warm up the air, or helicopters. So there's a lot of different techniques you can do to prevent the frost, because it really is it depends on how cold it gets at night, but this time of year usually it's just at sunrise or just prior to sunrise where the temperature dips, and that you really need to bring that warm air from above down into the vineyard to help raise the temperature or produce warm air within the vineyard
Right.
to protect the vines.
I think that might be all the questions
Wow,
we
that's
have.
a lot of questions.
That was good.
Most
More than
yet.
last week.
So, well,
But yeah.
great. Well, thank you all for participating and buying and tasting these wines over the past 3 weeks, and we really appreciate all your support. And again, it's unfortunate we can't do this together as we usually do, big tasting, but one day here, hopefully soon, we'll get together and taste all these wines again together. So it'll be fun. So hopefully keep an eye out for some more of these tastings we'll do in May.
Yep, in a couple of weeks. And just if you do want these wines, they are available till tomorrow night. But thank you so much for supporting us. It's been really awesome and exciting to pack all the shipping boxes and deliver them to your houses. I've enjoyed it.
Well, thank you, Ivy, for your help,
Yeah.
and my wife Christy for also. I know she's in communication with a lot of our club members and our customers are ordering. So, and Kevin here, everyone knows Kevin at Avon Street.
Kevin's the
Kevin's
best.
been a superstar. He's packing right now. He's packing up cases to ship out because the orders keep coming in.
Yeah,
And
we
so
had to tell him to stop because it
he
makes
was
a lot
making
of
too much noise with the
and
tape gun. He's been so you can come by Avon Street and still pick up wines. You can call ahead and we can bring them out to the car. And of course, yeah, we're shipping and delivering in Charlottesville.
Mhm.
So thanks to all of them, Ivy, Christy, and Kevin,
And
for,
you.
and for they're doing all
For
the
making it.
hard work. So that's
All right.
great. So thank you all.
Thank you so much.
See ya.